Hello everyone, my name is Pixelriffs and welcome back to the Minecraft Survival Guide. I hope you guys are having a good day. We're jumping straight into the end at the start of today's episode because today we are going to be building our first Enderman farm, and it's going to be an absolute beast of an Enderman farm once again with thanks to Nembon. You might remember Nembon's name from the previous episode in which we manipulated this end gateway into spawning us out in the void, and that is the setup for Nembon's Ender Mini, an Enderman farm which basically takes advantage of a bunch of different mechanics, the way Minecraft spawns Enderman or spawns mobs in general, and is going to provide us with more XP and Ender Pearls than we will probably ever need. But first, we gotta climb that tower. And I'm starting to think that the End Hub is almost gonna take priority over the Nether Hub now that we have such important projects out here. But for now, let's jump our way through this, and we've landed in the Void. Now this is going to be a very dangerous section of the video, and for that reason, I have a ton of fireworks on me, and I'm not wearing any of my usual gear. I have a bunch of backup gear on me, stuff that I've salvaged from End Cities over the past few months. Well, the boots are actually some of my old boots, but they've got Feather Falling 4 on them, which is going to potentially be important if we do a little bit of acrobatics around here, and even some of these tools are not my usual kind. They're all good tools still, in case I need them, but they are not my, main set of tools, except the sword. I think the sword is still there as well, but the reason for that being that we have to do some death-defying stunts today. We have to basically travel down as low as you can get in the end, and as you will probably understand at this point, if you travel that low down into the end, you risk falling into the void. And while there is still a fraction of a second in which you can save yourself if you've got Elytra and rockets and some quick reflexes, falling into the void potentially means losing all of your inventory unretrievably. You cannot recover stuff from falling into the void. It's like falling in lava with no hope of escape. Your items are pretty much going to be gone. So this could potentially be a very dangerous set of things to do, but if it pays off, we have ourselves an amazing Enderman farm. So this is how we're going to get started. First of all, I think I might bridge even further away from the islands out there, just because I love the idea of just not being able to see anything other than what we're building here. So I'm going to set up a few more little leaf bridges. We're going to bridge out in that direction a little way. This is still going to be the entrance to the Enderman farming area. It's just that we need to bridge out a little bit further. And of course, I'm going to have to be very protective of my shulker boxes while I'm out here, so I don't want those falling into the void either when I break them, so we're going to have to be a little bit careful. But ideally, what I want to do is get a little bit further out into one of these chunks so that we can build this farm centered on a chunk. Now, the spawning rules have varied a little bit in recent days. There was some things that were just bugs in 1.14 that got patched for 1.14.1 and 0.2, so I'm not sure quite how much of this is really essential anymore. There have been various videos on the subject, but I would like to build this farm centered on a chunk if at all possible, and where we're at right now is sort of roughly the center of a chunk. I think if we go about there, that's more or less in the middle right here. And what we're going to do is go down into the void very, very carefully. Now, there are a couple of different ways you can do this. The first is to throw down a water bucket on the side here and lower yourself down slowly. That's very dangerous to do. Obviously, you fall quite slowly in water, but you can kind of place blocks underneath here, and you do that basically until, checking your coordinates, until you reach the lowest level of the world, around y equals 1 or 0 even, basically the lowest point you can place blocks. Of course, the problem with that comes when you get to the very bottom and you can't really suspend yourself in water and place blocks any lower down, even by crouching, and crouching makes you fall a little bit faster as well, so that's even slightly scarier. So what we're going to do is take up this bucket of water and put a bucket of lava down and let that drop the lava into the void. Of course, leaves around here are going to be flammable, but I have my fire spread turned off in this world, so we don't need to worry about that. However, if you are playing with fire spread turned on, be very careful about how you use this. So now the water has completely dispersed, we're going to place this lava source on the side here and just let that flow downwards. It's going to take a little while because lava flows kind of slowly, but eventually that's going to make a column that goes straight down into the void in much the same way that the water just did. And we're going to wait a little while for that to reach the absolute bottom of the world so it's not flowing down any further. Then we're going to remove the lava source and set up a water source next to it, a block over, that's going to do the same thing. And that is basically going to generate a column of cobblestone that will go all the way to the bottom of the world. And then we can use use that as our benchmark for exactly how low we can go and place blocks before the world bottoms out completely and we end up falling. Okay, as far as I can tell, that has gone as low as it possibly can. So I'm going to remove this lava source here and place water there, and that is going to make a column of cobblestone all the way to the bottom of the world, and we can use that as the starting platform for what is eventually going to be our Enderman farm. Now, while we're waiting for the lava to disperse, one very important thing that you should remember about doing this is that any solid blocks you place around here, for the meantime, need to be lit up, because if you get 23 blocks away from them, they become valid spawning spaces for Enderman, and Enderman can potentially mess up what we're trying to do here. At least they can become a nuisance. You don't want to aggro them, you don't want to look at them accidentally and get knocked off the side of one of these platforms. It can be a little bit dangerous, so make sure you light up the blocks. I've already done that with the end stone that we placed in yesterday's episode, so it's very important that we do that just to make sure Endermen don't spawn around here and potentially cause problems for us. The other way we can do that is, of course, by making sure we place leaves where possible, and that's what we're going to do at the bottom of this column of cobblestone. Now, I'm going to use the water trick to ease myself down very, very slowly and make sure that we place some leaves before we get to the bottom of this column of cobblestone, because if we go any further than that, I'm going to need to resort to my emergency fireworks, and we're going to end up flying out into the void. So we don't really want to do that. Now, I am aware that I'm running out of air here, so I probably need to duck out of this water column a couple of times to let my air supply refresh. There we go. I'm not wearing a respiration helmet, which was perhaps a mistake, but no, there we go. Okay, we've got some leaves down there. Now we can remove this water. We've got the leaves down there as our starting platform, and we can make our way down there. And if nothing else, this is proving to me quite how useful it is that we had a respiration helmet in the first place. I'm going to hold shift on here to make sure that the water currents don't pull me off the side, and we're good. We are now placing blocks at the lowest point in the end that we possibly can, and I am terrified, but it's fine. We'll be able to get on and do some stuff here. So what we're going to do is we're going to build a leaf platform going out into this direction, and once again we're going to be relying on these chunk boundaries to see exactly where we are. We're going to build a platform out into the void about 23, 24 blocks long. Remember that 23 blocks is the distance you need to be away from something so that it can spawn hostile mobs, including Endermen. So we need to make sure that where we're going to be standing as a player is ideally between 23 and 32 blocks away from the spawning area that the Endermen are going to end up. So let's portion out a decent amount of leaves here. Let's go with 24 to start us off, and let's get bridging. Okay, here we go. We've got a bridge 24 blocks long. That's good for a start, and we will ultimately widen this out so it is 3 blocks wide, but for now, we need to start building the area where the Endermen are going to spawn, and for that, I brought some materials with me in this shulker box, which I will go into in just a second. But now we're here, we're going to go a couple of blocks further in, and we're going to make sure that we're building this sort of in the boundary of this chunk. Like I said, I'm not entirely certain that this actually makes a difference, but for now, it's probably worth doing. So let's grab some black concrete, and this is going to be the material we make our spawning pad out of. The leaves are not spawnable blocks for Endermen, remember, so what we're relying on here is having some solid blocks available to us, in this case the black concrete where the Endermen are going to be spawning. And we're going to build a platform here 11 blocks long and 4 blocks deep. And I guess that is going to cross over a chunk boundary, so we're not going to worry too much about that. The important thing is that we have all of these blocks in a reasonable space here, and once again we need to start lighting this up as soon as we can. Of course, the Endermen aren't going to be able to spawn until we get down that end of the platform, but I really don't want anything to spawn while I'm in the process of building this farm. We're going to turn it on at the end, and that is when everything is going to get a little bit crazy. So around this giant spawning pad of concrete we've got here, we're going to be building a ring of leaves, which is going to be 3 or 4 blocks thick in some areas, and that, according to Nembon's video, which I will link in the description once again because he goes into this in a lot more detail, this basically allows for pack spawning mechanics to happen. So the game thinks there is a wide enough open space to spawn multiple Endermen, but the actual only valid spawning spaces are going to be here, so it's going to try and spawn the maximum amount of Endermen, but on this space. Believe me, once this farm fills up, it gets very, very hectic. And if you want the maximum amount of spawning rates, I recommend going and watching Nembon's tutorial in more detail and copying his stuff step for step, because while this version of the farm that I'm building right now is going to be workable, it's definitely going to do what we want it to do, it's also perhaps not going to be 100% efficient because I will have miscalculated some stuff. I might have built stuff a little bit differently. I'm not going for maximum efficiency here. So before you call me out in the comments for building something that's like not quite to the specifications Nembon has, I've already tried this in a creative world, and even an approximation of his farm is enormously fast and very, very good. So I think right here we're just going to settle for something that works all right, and the fine detail of exactly how fast this thing is doesn't need to be a huge deal. So what we've got here is our spawning platform and a ring of leaves around the outside, like I said, to promote pack spawning. So right now, I can't remember if I brought any... Okay, I didn't bring any fences, but I did bring some end stone brick walls, so I guess those will have to do. What we're going to do with these is place 4 of them on each side like this, and this is done with fences in Nembon's tutorial. I think walls will probably accomplish the same thing, basically directing the Enderman into this channel here once they spawn. So we're going to have to grab some more leaves and widen this platform out to 3 blocks wide across there, but then that's going to allow us to have a nice big walkway for the Enderman to walk up into the trap we're going to lay for them. So where we're at right now, we have a 3-block wide bridge, and down at this end, basically 18 blocks from that platform over here, we're going to start building a staircase made out of these leaf blocks that the Endermen are going to be able to walk up effortlessly. We're going to start building that here, and we need that to come up 3 blocks because that's the height that an Enderman is, and once we get to the top of this, we are going to be laying a trap for them. This next part is going to be a little bit tricky, and so we need a few different things. I need a name tag, which I believe I have left in the shulker box over here. And we're going to be leaving a 2-block wide gap here for the Enderman to fall down, once again with trapdoors, tricking them into pathfinding off the side of these leaf blocks. This could be 1 block wide if we wanted to, but just for the safety of our bait that's going to be over here, we will probably want to make this 2 blocks wide. And so over here, we're going to be spawning ourselves an Endermite, and the Endermite is going to attract the Enderman into this space. So this is going to be a little bit tricky and is going to require us to spawn and name tag an Endermite and then put it into a minecart, which is why we did the tutorial about moving mobs around and trapping mobs in boats and minecarts. That's kind of the essential mechanic for what we're going to do here, because Endermites will act as bait in this farm. So I'm going to take out part of this cobblestone column. We don't really need it right now. I can probably use pearls or fireworks to get back up to the platform up there if we need to, but yeah, the cobblestone is just going to be there. Potentially, if we can turn that into a player ladder or something like that in a minute, then so much the better. And before we go any further, I need to bust out this shulker box one more time to get myself some carpets, and with that, we're going to be using purple wool. Carpets are very useful for blocking Enderman teleporting to a certain area. Basically, it guarantees that a mob will not be able to stand in a location if you build a too high section of carpet. So carpets can be stacked on top of each other like so, and that's where we're going to be storing the bait. That's where the Endermite is going to go. So we need to come up one further block here, and let's build out a platform made of end stone bricks right here. We're going to be putting the rails on top of this, and then we're going to be trying our best to spawn an Endermite and not get knocked into the void by it. This is the tricky part, really. This is the part that's going to require a little bit of quick reflexes on our part. And remember, Endermites will spawn if you chuck an Ender Pearl around for long enough, so that's going to be the idea. First of all, we need to place 2 rails facing that way, and we'll put a minecart on top of here. And the Endermite is going to be kind of encouraged to get into the minecart and become trapped. We're going to push it towards these carpets over here, and then it's going to drop down onto the carpets, and that's what the Endermen are going to be drawn to when they come into this farm. I'm actually not quite feeling comfortable with how big that platform was, so I'm going to widen this out a little bit if I can. Would rather not have to fly around if I don't want to. Now, we've got the name tag here. We've got the Ender Pearls ready. I think this is going to be the moment of truth. So let's throw these Ender Pearls around. Oh, wow, we got one instantly. Amazing. Right, now let's try and get him into the minecart if we possibly can. Remember, the minecart has to be moving a little bit. Oh, no. Okay, right, we pushed the minecart off. Let's see if we can retrieve that real quick, and hopefully... Oh, no, he's pathfinding towards us. Dang it. Okay, that's going to be a little bit difficult then. And remember, Endermites will despawn within a couple of minutes of generating, so we will probably need to get him back up there pretty quickly. Let's see if we can build a mighty staircase. Here we go. Come on up, buddy. Pathfind to me. You know you want to. There we go. And minecart. Okay, he's not going to walk over the rails. That's a start. Yes. Yes, there we go. We did it. Oh, that was clutch. Amazing. I guess Endermites aren't going to despawn if we have them name tagged, but I was panicking in that moment. I'm sorry. Probably a little bit of bum information for you there. So now we can put these carpets back in place. I can't believe we did that. That was so clutch. All right. carpet's back in place. I think we could probably get away with putting him one block further up because Enderman can be a little bit, like, they've got a bit more range in 114. I'm not quite sure what it is, so maybe we should put the Endermite up here so that they can't quite reach it when they come in here. We might have to adjust that a little bit depending on whether or not the Enderman can spot the Endermite at this range, but I think they should be able to. So now we can push this Endermite. We're going to take a little bit of damage here pushing it, but you could always use powered rail or something if you're concerned about that. We're going to pop him over the edge here. That should be enough. We can take out this block here, and he's going to sink down onto the carpets, and we can remove this platform. That is one of the hard parts over with. For safety, though, we are going to be placing another carpet on top of there, and probably another one on top of that, just to make sure that nothing can really touch this Endermite where he is positioned right now. And then we can take down this platform. I'm going to let the blocks fall into the void. It's tragic, but it's going to have to happen because I really don't feel like retrieving them. And remember, endstone brick can basically be instantly mined by an efficiency 5 pickaxe, so bear that in mind if you're using it like I am to make this platform. You need to be very, very careful about what you're doing here. And removing this final cobblestone section here, we have the Endermite suspended up here behind a row of carpet, and the row of carpet is what's going to be stopping the Enderman from hitting him. Now, I'm going to need to grab myself some more leaves because I need to build a platform for the player to stand a little bit behind this. So let's hop over here to a slightly safer, wider area to open up my shulker boxes, grab a few more of these. I'm so happy how quickly we got that Endermite. I've been imagining just throwing ender pearls for ages and not spawning one because the chance to spawn them is actually pretty low. So the reason I put the Endermite up a little bit higher is because this is where we're going to be collecting the Enderman. And Nembon's farm, when it's built at the bottom of the void like this, when it's built at like y equals 0, doesn't really allow for much storage space. He's got a bunch of hoppers going into a single chest, and with how fast this farm is, ender pearls are going to be flying out of this thing, and I want to be able to store some of them. Obviously, like, having a ton of ender pearl entities lying around is going to generate a little bit of lag. I don't really want that kind of slowing down to happen because there's just tons of, like, loose ender pearls floating around. So what I'm going to do is build the collection mechanism up a little bit higher. We're going to be having a couple of chests here, and we're going to be having a row of hoppers on top of here like this. And so that's going to be one block higher, and so the Endermite is one block higher to compensate for that. And we're just going to be swiping away at the legs of the Enderman down here. Now, can I still open a chest? I can. Okay, if I can open a chest if there are leaves on top of it, then that is good, because that means we can coat this entire thing with leaves and carpets, and that will prevent the Enderman from warping to or spawning on any of these blocks as well. The most important thing at this point is that we don't take out this leaf block here, because if we do, that's going to break all the carpets above it, and that's going to mean the Endermite in the cart falls down, and it's going to basically mean we have to reset this whole section of the farm. So we're going to leave that as it is right now, and behind here we're going to create a nice little overhang for us as a player to crouch behind, and that's going to effectively prevent Enderman from teleporting into this space because it's 2.5 blocks high. I do need to quickly get up there, though. I'll try and, hop up there while I'm crouched. That's good. And make sure that is covered in a double layer of carpet as well, so that the Enderman can't teleport up here. They could potentially teleport to blocks that they can't spawn on, so this double layer of carpet is really quite essential for this section of the farm here. And if we're feeling especially paranoid about Mighty, I could also put a few layers of carpet up in front of him there. That way, I'm pretty sure the Enderman won't be able to pathfind to him around these corners, and hopefully they should still have sight lines to him as well. Now comes the tricky part where I have to hop around this corner perfectly. Oh, there we go. Almost tangled with the Endermite once again. Right, let's hop back down here, and we can probably build this out a little bit further if we want to. But this is the point at which you're probably going to want to lay down some carpet here over the void, avoiding using leaves just in case Enderman could teleport to those blocks. And for that, we've got some string in this shulker box here that we can lay down at Y0 like so. And we can pop that down, and then we can take some of the purple carpet again, which I've still got in my inventory. Okay, good. And then we can take that like so and pop it on top of the string. And that is still perfectly possible to walk on as a player. So you should have no problems with that. Once you're out from under the overhang here, it's probably a good idea to have a little bit of string and carpet down so that you can be sure Enderman won't be able to teleport to that. And now we can create a ladder or something from up there. We can make a scaffolding ladder or something like that if we wanted to, if I was confident that I wasn't going to fall off of one of those. And then we'll have a way of getting back down to the Enderman farm anytime we want to. So effectively, this is basically done now, with the exception of a better collection mechanism than this one. But I really want to give this thing a test just to make sure that it works first and foremost. So let's expand this pad out here. Let's give myself a little bit more of a landing pad over here, because I'm going to need to use my fireworks to get from one side of the farm to the other once I take out the torches. That's going to be the tricky part here. So hoping with fingers firmly crossed that this is going to work out. Let's place one more row of carpet back here, and then I think we should be able to get this thing running. I've taken out those leaves next to the chest to make sure that we can, for a start, access the chest easily, but also make sure that the Endermen don't teleport on top of those as well. I think this whole area is about as spawn-proof as I can make it, so the only thing that is left to do now is to go and take out those torches and see how many Endermen spawn. I'm excited, I'm nervous, I am ready to get this thing on the road, and I'm ready to engage my Elytra. There we go. Whoa! And flying around this area is going to be a little bit scary for a while, but I'm sure we will get used to it. Now we're going to take out these torches. 1, 2, and 3. And this farm is now going to be active as soon as I get over there behind where the Endermite is stored. And I am really, really hoping that they don't end up being able to hit it. But they are going to activate pretty quickly. As soon as they spawn in here, they're going to notice the Endermite is over there. They're going to be aggroed by it, and they're going to want to go after him. So here's hoping that this ain't going to be a problem, folks. Let's activate our Enderman farm and see how well it does. Okay, there they are, and they're all rushing towards the Endermite as planned, and they're all ending up in here. Okay, amazing. Now I'm going to have to turn my mob sounds down for this, because they're going to get really, really loud. But all we have to do is swipe at the Enderman here, and we should be able to get ourselves a ton of Ender Pearls. Now, right now, I'm still using my Sweeping Edge Sword, and a Sweeping Edge Sword is really going to be essential for this, but oh man, the amount of XP we're collecting here. Another thing we might need is carpets over the top of here to stop the XP getting stuck in the hoppers, but this is freaking great, and look at the amount of XP we're gathering. It's not even going away. We are going to be able to gather more XP from this. Okay, the Endermite is still showing up in the subtitles, so that's good. It looks like it's not getting hit by the Enderman at all. Okay, I just broke some leaves behind those guys. Probably best if I place those back again, but yeah, we should perhaps firm up the insides of the farm here around the back there so we don't end up breaking any of those blocks. I could probably put a row of obsidian behind there underneath the leaves. But the Endermen are still flowing. This farm is truly incredible. The XP is just going crazy. And you saw the amount of Endermen we've got spawning here. They are constant. They're still spawning back there. They're not even stopping at this stage. And my frame rate is dropping so much just because of the amount of XP I'm collecting and the amount of Endermen that are in the area. That is phenomenal. Nembon, hats off, because this farm is truly something else. And just imagine, anytime we want to mend any of our gear, we can come out here and just have basically an unlimited supply of XP at our fingertips. No more Guardian farm, no more Thorns effect from those guys. We are truly working with something next level here. Okay, I'm going to have to get into the air a little bit here, and I need to come around to the other side of this farm to switch it off using these torches, because this farm is absurd. And wow, there's so many Endermen they can't even get over the carpets right now. They're actually blocking each other from getting into the farm, which is crazy. Alright, we're gonna take care of the last few Endermen here. I'm pretty sure that, wow, look at all the XP I left behind right there. I'm pretty sure that the collection mechanism for this is already filled up, and I have not been here very long. Wow. Listen to how loud that was, and I've got my mob sounds turned down to like 1%. That is nuts. And yep, the chest is all filled up. All of the hoppers are pretty much constantly filled. I've got my shulker box of ender pearls here with me that I can add a few to, but that is just an immense farm, and this is going to be so useful for our experience farms and all kinds of stuff. For ender pearls, I've basically got enough ender pearls to last me the rest of my life now. That was pretty intense, and the Endermite is still alive. the Endermite is still in there. Fantastic stuff. Well, I'm going to work a little bit off camera on getting a proper ladder down to this thing, and we can probably work on a storage mechanism another day. But I think the farm alone has been enough for this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of the Minecraft Survival Guide. Once again, hats off to Nembom for an amazing farm. You can go and check out his tutorial on this, linked in the description. But that is going to be all from me for today. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like on this episode if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you guys soon. Take care. Bye for now.